the spiral incarnate in them as their own expression to create. And the communion, if you can scan the planet, you'd find hundreds of millions, just like you say, of pioneering souls. But since it's not a religion, a church, an organization, or a school, many of us feel somewhat alone. So the spoken word for me comes right out of the core of the spiral to the communion of pioneering souls, which is a worldwide communion of emergent universal humans who, when they get together, know more about the planetary DNA. That's the code of creating a culture that could receive us. Nobody knows what a co-creative, co-evolving planetary culture is. All right, how do we find out? Not from the existing leadership of the world. We find it out from the resonance. Just what we're doing here. We're discovering part of the planetary DNA. Part of the planetary DNA. And so let's go up to the section called communications, media. All right, that's what we're talking about. So the planetary DNA, here are golden innovations in every field and function already working. Just like this. These would be health, these would be healings, these would be energy. It's huge what's already working, but it's never visible. So this makes it visible. Here are the global co-creators. They are masters in their field of creating a new world. And they're everywhere too. But I'm speaking at the level of mastery. These are people who you could count on for being able to do it. They're not the newcomers to it. And then up here is the fields of the social body. Here's health, infrastructures, all the social structures, justice, media, relations, science, spirituality, arts. And in every one of them, I put little wheels because every one of them requires almost every health. It needs economics, it needs education, it needs environment. So it's holes within holes within holes. And as people get turned on to what they want to create, they can draw from the golden innovations. They don't have to start from scratch. They can be seeing the work of the global co-creators, but they feed into it too. So if somebody out in a peripheral place suddenly does something really great, like you're not a famous producer.
No.
You live in Florida. Nobody ever heard about you. I never heard about you. All right. So you become, in media, suddenly, oh my God, something worked. And so what you do is you feed it back in to the golden innovations, and then you feed it into the communion of pioneering souls, and I'm a voice for that. And when the system becomes more synergistic, not only do you connect with people you're looking for in the fields you're interested in, but the fields connect, and you get synergistic convergence of social co-creativity. And when you get that, the system jumps. So for me, the planetary birth experience is in consciousness, it's in creativity, and it's in synergistic convergence of that which is emergent. What my friends are working on right now in London is to take one more step towards helping this convergence to happen. We have social networks, we have great search engines, we have a lot of internet sophistication, but not quite this. So what I'm seeing now is in the webinar, I would say to people, this is the big story. This is our huge God's story, however you want to put it. And now here is where we're sitting, and anybody out there who feels the impulse of creation growing within them is part of the communion. And so you get into a resonance with the core, which is universal intelligence, and your own creativity, and your own healing. Because we all need healing. Look at me. You see, there's no way to be healed alone.
We can't. We have blind spots.
We all do. And it's nice to be humble enough, particularly if you think you're a teacher like me, to say, you know what? I just realized I've incarnated all those men. And I love them so much. and wanted to please them, but actually I was always going beyond them. And I got held back, not even by them, but by myself. They didn't stop me, I stopped myself, because nobody's stopping me right now. I live in a culture that's free, thank God. Anyway, the webinars would visually have this symbol. Up here is Visions of a Universal Humanity. That's Strange Attractor. That pulls us forward. We haven't ever gotten this together yet, but when we do, we get pulled out toward something that is radically new. And that's when I think, the whole new consciousness, new bodies, new technologies, a universe filled with life, higher beings. This is a big bottle we're uncorking.
Yeah, it is, and it's time.
And this coming together, for me, we're aiming at it coming together December 2012 for as much of convergence as is possible, without going into prophecies or galactic streams or 26,000 years. All of this may or may not be exactly true. But what is true is the social body needs to converge. And you don't have to be a wizard to know that.
That'd be a psychic.
Oh, I just heard from higher source. No. You read it in the New York Times. We're going down the tubes because of the environmental, financial, social collapse. All right, so what I see is speaking direct from that context as a story and embodiment, and then as I can do it as a person who is evolving. But people who listen and see it will all want to know that they're part of the communion, and there's some connectivity there. That's the part. I don't want it to be cumbersome. I don't want it to be another organization or another religion or another church or another anything.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
There's a huge connectivity there. Just with 2 million people sitting with you together at the same time, you're connecting all these souls with one vision.
Yes.
The vision of the positive future.
Yes.
Just that is connecting humanity. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. And maybe it's not needed that they can find each other more easily.
It's an energetic resonance that's necessary. That is the shift. You see what I'm saying?
I think that's step one. And step two is connecting to co-create, because you need to know that we have ways of dealing with our health. We have restorative justice. We have new media. We have the energy that we need if we would shift from non-renewable to renewable. People have to know that, and know that if they're called to any function, like you're called to this, people need to know they're called and they're needed, and that they're not alone. And that's what I think the internet, social networking at the next level will be able to do. And all I'm saying is I'd like that to be as simple as possible.
Yes.
So that we can get started.
And it can be simple.
Yeah,
actually, it is simple.
50 years later, how much more is laid out?
What?
Also, and how much more the crisis is real.
Yeah.
See, I said our crisis is a birth, but there was no apparent crisis whatsoever.
Yeah.
And now it's obvious, and the birth is obvious, and the path is clearer, and the time is shortened. And it's actually a wonderful, wonderful reality. When you think all of this is coordinated by the same intelligence that's creating the universe.
Yeah.
That's a lot.